So I was thinking about, what are some of the skills and traits of successful UX designers? And, I would say that, these are some of the ones, and you always hear about this, like curiosity, optimism, empathy, comfortable with uncertainty, social skills, soft power, sales skills, experimentation. I would say that out of all of these, the most important ones are empathy, drive, and self-education. Because if you have these three, you can learn the rest, right? If you don't have those three, like you can learn social skills, you can learn sales skills, you can learn how to communicate better, you can even learn how to become more comfortable with uncertainty, because I sure as heck was not comfortable with uncertainty when I started out. That was like one of the biggest frustration points for me, was how no one's telling me what to do, right? But you can learn to get better at that if you have the drive, if you're willing to constantly educate yourself, and if you're good at putting yourself in other people's shoes, right? Like those are three things that are really hard to learn. Like it's hard to teach ambition. So then I thought to myself, what are some other things that, because this is sort of like kind of abstract, like, okay, empathy, I think I might have it, I don't know, I think I'm driven. Let's look at some more concrete examples of things that I know a lot of UX designers do in their lives. If you frequently get annoyed with things that aren't as good as they could be, UX might be for you. Like if that sentence, if you see this sentence and you're like, yeah, if that makes sense to you, take a look at UX. If you obsess over how you lay out your space before throwing a party, UX might be for you, right? Because you're trying to, like for example, I was recently at a work barbecue. I had so much fun with my coworkers. They're amazing people. Like first time I'm really enjoying myself at a job. And so we went to this barbecue patio, and the way the seats were laid out in there, you could tell like we were trying to all talk to each other, but there was no way for groups to form because you had like two benches here and one long one there, and there was no way for everyone to talk to each other like in a circle. And then I was sitting there thinking, is there any way that we can lay out this differently, like quickly? I don't know. But even if we all sat at that long bench, still, little groups would form of four, right? Because you can't really talk from this end to the other end. And I actually said that to the other folks in the room. And they're like, you're a designer, you're already thinking about the experience here. And I honestly was like, I didn't realize what I was doing. I was like, wait, you're telling me that not everyone does this? And yeah, and I know a lot of my good friends who are also, some of my designer friends, they obsess over this stuff, right? Like, what's the best way to lay out the space? Okay, if we put this here, and they're coming in here, and they might be sitting here, and this would be a cool place where they could gather. If you do that, UX might be for you. If you have this mindset that you're always wondering, what if we did it this way, right? What if we did it like that? I don't know. That's that curiosity, right? That's that what-if thinking. UX might be for you. So if you're really good at putting yourself in other people's shoes, like almost to a fault, where you like put up with more than you should because you understand where the other person is coming from, right? Yeah, they're doing that, but I understand, don't you understand? That means you have a lot of empathy, and UX might be for you. And actually, controversial opinion, but if you have a lot of this, you oftentimes don't even need a lot of research. But a lot of people will disagree with me on that. But if you have extreme empathy, you can get by on less research. Also, if you don't mind spending large chunks of your life in front of a computer, UX might be for you, right? If you take away all of like this coolness of it that people are trying to sell you, at the end of the day, you're spending a lot of time in front of a screen, moving things around. If that doesn't appeal to you, you're not going to last. And finally, if you don't mind working on crappy projects with bad pay for about 2 years, because a lot of times when I used to teach this at vocational schools, you had these people who had like no experience and they immediately wanted to jump and work at like whatever, Apple or something, right? And it was so funny because a lot of times they couldn't even tell me why. It's like, I want to work at Facebook. Really? Why? Well, I mean, it's because they couldn't really explain why they wanted to work there. And the fact is, when you're getting into the industry and you don't have much to offer, right? Those first projects, like you better take whatever you can get, right? And you better be happy about it, that you're getting anything at all, because there are people that aren't getting things. And that's how I started out too. Like I was working on projects for like $10 an hour, right? And I was happy because like each one of those, I learned something, right? It was like a step, a progression. Each job taught me something that I was then able to use in the next. And over time, that builds up, right? It's like intellectual compound interest. Finally, UX field at this point is pretty competitive. I wouldn't do it just because you heard you can make a lot of money and work from home once or twice a week, right? You're not gonna last because the field is competitive and it's not that big. You can probably still fit all of the UX designers in the world into like Warrior Stadium. So the field is competitive, the people are really good, and you shouldn't get into this because you're doing it for the money, because otherwise you won't be able to put up with those 2-3 years of being frequently annoyed and with clients that don't really understand what you're doing and pay late, right? So you need to really care about this stuff in order to push past that to when it gets better. Okay, so if you found this interesting, if you liked listening to me, connect with me. Find me on Twitter, find me on LinkedIn, send me an email, check out my website. If you have any other questions, just reach out. I'm very accessible.